With over 10 years of experience in the fitness industry as a personal trainer and fitness coach. He is an entrepreneur and Toastmaster. As a health and fitness professional, he takes a unique approach which combines his knowledge of human movement, nutrition with psychology, as well as emotional intelligence. And he is here tonight to speak to us about the prices he has paid from buying into a narrative of toxic masculinity and what unlearning that story has meant for him. So here is Philipe Droguett with Real Men Cry.
Ladies, have you ever wondered if your man feels anything? No, because boys don't talk about emotions. Fellas, does this sound familiar? Hey, honey, we need to talk about your feelings. It's like, blah. It's like, kill me now. It's like, a couple years ago, a good friend of mine, a teammate from my soccer days, tragically, due to illness, lost his son. I remember sitting at the funeral, looking all around. It was packed. Every single person shattered, crying, devastated. This was the moment I realized I need to be strong for everyone there. Even my best friend, crying like a little boy. It's like, bro, we're supposed to be tough guys. Keep it together. I asked him to come with me to go see the baby as it was an open casket. No way. I can't. Like, all right, you wuss, I'll just go myself. No problem. As I made my way down the aisle, I saw person after person coming the other way in shock, devastated, crumbling. My only thought, just keep it together, guys. Finally, standing there in front of the open casket, it was only this big. The baby was 3 months old. That was one of the roughest things I had ever seen. I've never been around such devastation in my life. And I was the only one with dry eyes, judging everyone there, especially every man there. I gave my respects to the baby. I gave my condolences to my teammate and his family, and I left. I remember walking back to my car feeling proud. Way to keep it together. I controlled my emotions. I showed no weakness. I shoved my feelings in a jar because I was taught men don't cry. I grew up with teammates in sports, always competing with each other. My parents, bosses, coaches, always expecting me to control my emotions, which came from a society where the pop culture has bought into this idea, a man must be anti-feminine. Crying is for girls only. Men aren't allowed to be vulnerable. It just doesn't look masculine. A man must be aggressive. A man must be dominant, socially, financially, physically. A man must be homophobic. Every man you ever met has been programmed to not share his feelings. Vulnerability is a sign of weakness. No man ever wants to feel weak, especially in front of a group of people. It makes a man feel unworthy of his own balls. Earlier this year, I was in a training to be an influential speaker. 18 of us in this training, one after another, we stood up in front of the room. We gave our heartfelt presentations in front of the class. Everyone at some point got emotional about someone's story, except for this guy. I sat there like a steel vault, holding it together, observing, judging, not connecting to anyone's story, because I am the MVP of shoving my emotions in a jar. When my turn came up, I stood up in front of the class and I struggled. I struggled to influence the room. I struggled to speak from emotion because I wasn't willing or was able to be vulnerable. Ever. The feedback came, which is something I always look forward to, especially from an athlete. I like to know what my blind spots are so I can focus on exactly what I can improve on. As I stood there receiving that feedback, someone stood up and said, Philipe, my experience of you, you are traumatized. Traumatized? I am definitely not traumatized. Nothing traumatizing has happened to me. I definitely have friends who unfortunately have experienced traumatizing events. Nothing like that has happened to me. I sat back down. I let it sink in a bit. And then I realized, you know, I have heard sometimes traumatized people don't know they're traumatized. I'm not traumatized. Aren't I as a man supposed to shove my feelings in a jar? What is so traumatizing about that? And then boom. My mom and dad pop in my head. And now I'm crying uncontrollably like a little boy. I didn't understand why. I just knew that the jar suddenly opened. I know my parents did their absolute best to give me every opportunity that their parents didn't give them, so on and so forth, generation to generation. On the other hand, a lot of parenting is caught, not taught. I inherited my parents' toxic masculinity, and I include my bosses and coaches in that mindset. 5 years of intense personal growth, and I finally get it. I have shown up to every single person I have ever met and every relationship I've ever had emotionally disconnected. I can now tell you for a fact, coming from a man, that it takes more courage to speak about your feelings to your partner and in public than it does to keep shoving your feelings in a jar. My experience, the people with the toughest exterior, because it takes one to know one, tend to be unaware, oblivious, insecure, scared people you will ever meet. I see right through that like a window. I also respect where everyone is currently at. They're going through their own journey as I'm going through mine. Unfortunately, there are no outlets or resources for men to talk about what is actually going on inside. For a man, this is pressure. This creates more anxiety, isolation, emotional disconnection, depression, and eventually suicide. Fellas, my hope is that you decide to take radical responsibility. Break the pattern that no longer is serving you. Let go of your toxic masculinity for your marriage, for your partner, for your kids, your family, and most of all, for your life. You deserve it. It's your natural birthright to be happy and fulfilled. Please give yourself permission, reach out to someone, talk to them. I would rather you cry on my shoulder than to have me and a bunch of your friends carry your casket. I was one of those people that thought I don't need personal growth or any personal development. Ever since I started taking my personal growth serious, I changed my life. I have a newfound respect for the subconscious mind because the patterns that still show up today created from my childhood. Conditioning over time, being told, you want to be a man, don't you? Control your emotions, boys don't cry. This led me to be emotionally disconnected, especially with women, hypercritical towards others, times 100 towards myself, a steel vault showing no emotion, none. My transformation, it was hard, it took time, it's a practice. I got into personal growth because I want to be a better uncle, Theo, a better son, a better best friend, eventually a better boyfriend, husband, a man with integrity, a world-class coach, make more money. What I got out of it was the ability to finally allow myself to be human. Allow myself to express my emotions respectfully. Allow myself, no matter how scared I am, step into my courage, let go of the criticism, and allow myself to cry at funerals. And be vulnerable in relationships. Good thing no one told me that at the beginning, because I definitely would not have signed up. All this time, I thought it was something external that had to change. And now, after all this work, I realized I get to. Fellas, I'm sure you've had amazing women in your life. However, you won't attract or keep that awesome relationship that you deserve until you allow yourself to feel. Give yourself permission to. The practice of letting go of my toxic masculinity has allowed me to create more authentic, meaningful relationships, especially with myself. It has allowed me to attract an incredible woman in my life. Funny thing, she was there this whole time. I just didn't see it. I wasn't ready. She's still here. The biggest moment in my journey was when I realized I was saying, I love you to my friends and family. And yet the one person that deserved to hear it the most, who has been in my side during this process, who gave me a space to make mistakes, who didn't judge me, she let me be myself. I feel understood. She keeps challenging me. If you are watching this tonight, please know how grateful I am to have you in my life. You've been a big part of my journey. Thank you for being patient with me, even when I was showing up inconsistent. You called me out one day with love and you said, if you want to be more, then show me more. I stand here tonight in front of all these people, proudly sharing how in love I am with you. And that's the reason I couldn't practice my speech in front of you. Lastly, let me leave you with this. Author David Dida. A superior man lives with the courage of an open heart, not a closed fist. Thank you.